Hi, I'm Adam from Lyon Apprentice, and you're at Canadian Music Week with the AU Review.
Is your first time here?
Yes, definitely first time here. First time in North America. Yeah.
How's the city treating you?
I reckon it's like Melbourne. I don't like to find parallels like straight away, but I think it's an awesome city. But yeah, very similar to Melbourne, I find. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Streetcars everywhere, lots of laneways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You sort of go like 100 meters down the road and you're in Little Greek, and then you go down to the next place, you're in Little Vietnam. It's weird. It's cool. Yeah.
Any particular highlights of the festival, like in terms of bands you've seen, things you've done, shows you've played?
Yeah, well, we saw Sunset L actually last night. That was really, really awesome. They had a smaller venue, so for me, watching other bands, that was definitely a highlight. And then Aussie BBQ, well, I guess for Fairchild, but we played at Central, which was good fun there. Yeah.
Fantastic. So, you know, you've been balancing two projects here, and which is great. You know, it's how are the Lyon shows going though? You know,
it's we don't have the exposure like Fairchild, so we're kind of grassroots level at the moment. But we quite enjoy playing the shows because it's a different vibe. It's quite intimate. We now have a drummer on board with us, so it sort of takes the stress off myself to try and play guitar and sing all at the same time. So it's been fun to sort of play these smaller venues, and people really engage. It's a completely different beast, I find, playing the Lyon shows.
Yeah, so tell everyone a bit about what the Lyon Project is and why it exists.
Yeah.
You know, and how it's separate, how it's different rather from Fairchild.
Well, my brother Nathan obviously plays in Fairchild as well, and the two of us, we've had songs there for ages that were just never quite Fairchild songs. Everything started off quite folky, just kind of acoustic and piano. For about 3 years we've been working out what we wanted to do with it. And then last year we went up to Cairns and recorded with Mark Myers, who was in the Middle East. And still, even there, 2 weeks just trying to put our heads together as to, do we want it to be folk, do we want to step it up? I had this obsession with doing something percussive, so all the drums are recorded live and all separate, so kick was separate to the snare, to the ride, to the tom. So yeah, as it sort of went on with the week, we finally established what it was that we wanted to do. So the segregation, the main question we always get asked is, what's a Fairchild song, what's a Lyon Apprentice? I don't think you really get to choose. I think as soon as you start playing it, we generally take it to the boys and they do a Fairchild, and if they like it, then we'll use it. And if it's something that's quite personal and sort of intimate for me, I'll sort of keep for Lyon Apprentice. So there's never really like a tough thing at all, no.
Well, it makes perfect sense to kind of separate it. So.
Yeah, you have to. That's especially just for the other boys as well. Like they're playing in two bands, even though Nathan and I are in a separate band, but we're also the same entity as Fairchild. Even when we travel around, it gets pretty awkward to sort of work out who's who and what band's what. So, but yeah, that separation is really important. Yeah.
So, what's the kind of future with Lyon? I mean, with the music that's coming out and all that.
We definitely have new material, but everything kind of takes secondary preference to Fairchild at the moment. So, we've got a few plans. We definitely want to record again. I think after playing shows and whatnot for the last year, we've established what we want the next lot of songs to sound like. And now that we've got James on drums, who's also in Fairchild, confusing, it makes it a lot more interesting, I think, because I can't play drums. I can whack them, make a bit of noise, but I think that rhythm and groove is something we want to try and sort of explore a little more, sort of bastardize the pop elements in. It sort of comes naturally to me, those melodies. So, but first and foremost, we always write songs that are melodic. That's what we care about. That's what we enjoy. So, yeah, we'll see what happens.
And what happens for Lyon after Canadian Music Week? Are there more touring plans?
I think we're going to go home and have a little rest because we're sort of going through the US and we're going to Music Matters in Singapore on the way home. So by the time we get home, I think everyone needs about a month not talking to each other. But we will have a few more because the EP just came out, and we haven't done a lot of shows around home locally because this has been our focus, getting over here.
Yeah.
So we'll play a few more, but we're not really fussed on sort of doing a huge run of shows through Australia at the moment. Just financial budget restraints as always, but we'll play a few more. We'll see how it goes.
And you know, we're here at Canadian Music Week. Lots of amazing Australian bands. There are 28. I guess you count as 2 of them.
Yeah.
But you know, what's the feeling here about Australian music?
To be honest, everyone I've spoken to, Canadians in particular, as soon as you mention you're from Australia, they immediately love you, which is quite funny, and I'm not used to that. But at the same time, I think naturally, even if you're from Australia and an American band or a UK band comes over, people tend to immediately draw to them anyway because it's foreign. But I like that element where you walk into a place and you start playing and people get interested because they know you're not from around here. So I think the Australian music in places like Canada and North America in particular are sort of thriving. People are loving it. So, and there's not one particular genre. Like we played just before the Lazies, but after the Lazies just then, and that was some like ball breaking rock and roll, and they had the room moving. Like, you know, it's great.